Thanks. How are you? I think you are well. I am also well. I am a teacher of English department of this Machpara degree college, Pangsha, Rajbari. I am Mr. B.K. Biswas, assistant professor in English under Dhaka board. At this time, I shall teach you on a new chapter on second paper on narration. Firstly, you should know the style of question. How is the question? Please watch the board. Change the direct speech into indirect speech. That means change the narrative style by using indirect speech for 5 marks. Question number 7. Firstly, you should know the definition of direct speech and indirect speech. When a speech is quoted in the actual words used by or by the speaker, it is called direct speech. On the other hand, when a speech is reported in the form of narrative, giving the substance and meanings of the words without quoting his actual words, it is called indirect speech. For this changing of narration from direct speech into indirect speech, you should have good knowledge over some sentences. What are those sentences? Those sentences are: number 1, assertive sentence; number 2, interrogative sentence; number 3, imperative sentence; number 4, optative sentence; and number 5, exclamatory sentences. Over these 5 sentences, you should have a good command over language. Unless you have a good knowledge about these 5 sentences, you cannot change the narration from direct speech into indirect speech. Another point, there are some important parts of speech which are very essential for changing narration. Such as those parts of speech are adjectives, adverbs, verbs, and pronouns. These kind of parts of speech are very essential. In what sense? Because there are such words including time and place. Because at the time of changing narration, there is the question about time and place. For this, there are some important words like: now. This is adverb. Such as there are many kind of words, and those words are included into adjective, adverbs, verbs, even pronoun. Because there are some words, nearness words, nikotosth kichu word roye geche. Now will turn into then, here, there, this, that, this, those, hence, thence, come, go, hither, thither, thus, in that way, today, that day, tomorrow, the next day, yesterday, the previous day, last night, the previous night. It turned into that. This kind of words and these kinds of parts of speech are very helpful in changing narration, because these nearness words will indicate place and time corresponding. Remoteness, that means this distance, with reference to remoteness or distance, and time and place. These words are very helpful to maintain the meaning and substance of narration. And there is another word, conjunction, that. Whenever we change direct speech into indirect speech, there is the question of conjunction. For assertive sentence, conjunction that is very helpful, and only that is necessary. And now I shall teach you on the basis of assertive sentence. On the basis of assertive sentence, there are some rules. I just follow those rules and you listen to me very attentively. Number 1, direct speech. He says, I am ill. In this sentence, he says reporting verb, and I am ill, am, is reported verb. This part, reporting verb, and that part is reported speech. So, this is present indefinite tense and reported verb is in the present indefinite tense. Because narration depends on tense and number. So, you should be very careful of tense and number. And narration may be based on a dialogue with a touch of soliloquy. Because the question paper on narration will be based on or is based on a dialogue between the two with the touches of soliloquy. Dialogue কথোপকথন, soliloquy কোনো ব্যক্তির স্বগোক্তি. So, very careful in this respect. These are the rules, and you should never violate these rules. And you should follow the corresponding of past tense. That means you should be very alert of sequence of tense. Sequence of tense is very helpful. And you don't forget the techniques and rules of corresponding of past tense. Here you see, he says, I am ill. Answer to the question, he says that he is ill. Here, he says that he is ill. In the first sentence, in the direct speech, we see I pronoun. But in the indirect speech, we see person has been changed into third person. Whereas, in the first sentence, in the direct speech, subject was pronoun, first person. But in indirect speech, person has become changed into third person. So first person has become third person here. You should always remember, person is very important. Next point. Rahim says, I shall go. Here, Rahim says that he will go. Here you mark, reporting verb is in the present tense. And the reported speech is in the future, simple future tense. Simple future tense. So, if the reporting verb is in the present tense, then the indirect speech tense will never be changed, but person will be changed. Here you see I, first person. First person has become third person singular number, he. You should always keep it in your memory. Next point. He has said, I went. This is present perfect tense, but it is simple present tense. I went. Inverted comma, within inverted comma, this part is past indefinite. So, never be changed because it is in the present form of verb, though it is present perfect tense. he has said that he went. Only the person will be changed. Next point. You will say, I am ill. This is future indefinite form. Simple future indefinite. Will say, future indefinite. And this is I am ill. This is present form. In this case, no sense. You will say that you are ill, because here I, first person, has become second person. So, in this respect, you should have to be very alert. Next point. He said, I am ill. In term of past tense, you should follow some rules of corresponding past tense. Here you see, he said, past tense. If the reporting verb is in the past indefinite, then you will follow what kind of tense is remaining in the direct speech. I am ill. This is present indefinite tense, but it will be simple past tense. From simple present tense, it will turn into simple past tense. What is the answer? He said that he was ill. Only person is changed here. Next point. He said, I was ill. Said, reporting verb is in the past tense. And there is, you see, I was ill. It is simple past indefinite. Simple past indefinite will turn into past perfect tense. This is the corresponding of past tense. Answer, he said that he had been ill. Was, has been changed into past participle form. Past perfect tense. Had been ill. As usual, he said, he has come. He has come. This is simple present past present perfect tense. It will turn into past perfect tense. The answer, he said that he had come. From this discussion, especially number 1, 2, 3, in the case of past tense, we should have to follow the corresponding of past tense. If it is past tense always, if the reporting verb is always in the past indefinite, then the direct speech will naturally change. If it is present indefinite, it will turn into past indefinite. If it is past tense, it will turn into past perfect. And if it is present perfect tense, it will as usual change into past perfect tense. You just follow this corresponding of past tense. Next, number 1, 2 and 3, from the beginning that I taught you. First part, he says present indefinite tense. And number 2, number 3, this is future indefinite tense. In respect of future indefinite tense and in respect of present indefinite tense. And if the reporting verb is in the present tense or is in the future tense, no change will be in the form of narration in direct speech. Always you should remember. Next point. This is the main point of my discussion, especially on assertive sentence. But the question paper or on question number 7 on narration, the style of question will depend on different patterns of sentences. In the form of narration, there may have assertive sentence, interrogative sentence, optative sentence, even exclamatory sentence. So, the question may be selected on a dialogue between the two with the tasks of soliloquy. So, on my next class, I shall teach you on interrogative sentences. Because on narration, there is the information and there is the giving information and taking information, and information just referring to the point, yes or no, and mood of sentences, sequence of sentences, and the sometimes sentiment, sometimes interrogation, sometimes advices, sometimes naturally, as usually when the two persons, one is speaker on the other is listener or hearer, the speaker and the listener, the speaker or the hearer or audience, through these dialogues, a question paper or a question will be selected. On my next class, I shall teach you on interrogative sentence. But you should read and take some ideas about 5 sentences, such as assertive sentence, interrogative sentence, imperative sentence, optative sentence, and exclamatory sentences. And you should keep in your mind those very important words, such as adjective, adverbs, verbs, and pronouns. Such kind of words will turn into another points, such as nearness will turn into remoteness, distance, because time and place in the term of narration is very necessary. Thank you very much.